it's time for Lefties Losing It. Here is a lefty well and truly losing it, claiming that telling him you're voting for Donald Trump is among the most dehumanising things you can do. The narcissism, the entitlement here is off the charts.
Oh, I'm not transphobic, but what exactly? You're about to tell me the most dehumanizing thing I've ever heard you believe about trans people? You're about to tell me you're voting for Trump? You're about to tell me that you don't think trans women should use the women's bathroom? If you need to put a disclaimer and that but, maybe keep that thought to yourself. Maybe let's try and think of another thought.
Fake nails and teal eyeshadow don't make you a woman. XX chromosomes do. I don't write the rules. Talking about entitled and narcissistic, check out this British lady having an almighty meltdown because a polite driver called her Miss. You see, she doesn't identify as Miss.
I'm telling you, it's a frigging problem.
And I'm saying to you, thank you, miss. And then all of a sudden you start to be angry.
Why would you say thank you, miss? I don't...
Because I'm trying to be polite.
But how do you know I identify as a miss? I might be a missus.
Identify?
I might be something else.
I don't know what... I'm not asking for identification ID. I'm just saying thank you,
Well, I
miss.
think it was disrespectful.
How is it disrespectful?
Because you don't know me. I've literally just got in your cab.
Yeah, and you said nice
I've been
car,
in
and
the
then I say
car
thank you, miss.
5 minutes.
Okay.
And you call me miss when it's not your place, is it? You're not family. You're not a friend.
But I'm trying to be polite, saying thank you, miss.
Well, I don't think that's polite. I think that's disrespectful.
Disrespectful to what?
To me.
How is it disrespectful for you?
How do you know I identify as anything?
What do you mean, identify?
You know, like gender.
Gender?
Yeah.
What do you mean by gender?
I might be a they.
They? You know, you're that. You're a woman. You're a woman over here. I can see you're my eyes.
Right, okay.
Okay.
So that makes it okay.
Okay for what? You give me complimenting,
So
and then I give you thanking.
If I would say to you, thank you, mister, do you think that's all right? You
Of
don't
course.
think that sounds disrespectful?
Usually people in England using English, they say sir. So maybe you say sir. I don't know. Mister is okay. But maybe you don't have educations, or maybe you only say mister.
So
I don't know.
Okay.
That poor dude isn't paid enough to put up with that craziness. It's so crazy that I'm suspecting it's some sort of a setup, but these people do actually exist. Now, crazy sums up this next clip.
Mother I hate this mother.
No, Sam, that's not how we do it. Let me show you how we take care of the creature. Let me show you how we take care of the creature. Go, Rita! Get up! Get up! Get up! Rita! That's how it's done. Yeah! Okay, calm down.
How clever to destroy your own property. Yeah, that's really going to show BB who's boss. Now, you have to give Charlie Kirk credit here. Not only does he go to college campuses and seeks to have dialogue with the lefties, but he manages to keep his cool and his manners, even when the lefties are as obnoxious and odious as this next dude who asks him what drug he's going to overdose on if Trump loses.
When Kamala wins and when you go into manic spirals, everything you've worked for crumbles around you, what illicit you can overdose on?
So if Trump wins, what are you going to do to yourself?
I don't know, probably move to the Netherlands. I don't want to deal with them. Can you answer the question, though? Snowflake?
I hope that
Answer the question, Snowflake.
I hope Trump wins. Kamala might win.
Answer the question,
Let me tell you what happens.
Coward.
So let me tell you what happens. If Kamala Harris wins, which she might, unlike you, I will not flee my country. I will go back to work the next day if Kamala Harris wins. And you might be right. Kamala might win. It might be too much. But I'll be able to look my daughter and my son in the eye and say I did everything I possibly could to make sure that this country remained free and prosperous for you guys, and that I gave it all on the line.
Good luck with that, buddy. Kamala sweep! Kamala sweep!
See, this is what happens when you don't discipline your children. Imagine hiring that dude one day. Now to a young woman who doesn't need a job. She didn't even need school. She was too busy gallivanting around the world, telling presidents and prime ministers how to run their countries. And now Greta Thunberg is here to tell us why her anti-Israel crusade is linked to climate change.
In Palestine and all over the world, the fight against colonialism and corporations' destruction of the planet are intrinsically linked. Look at Chevron. Everyone knows that Chevron is one of the world's biggest climate criminals. but the oil giant is also fueling Israel's genocide in Palestine. As Israel bombs hospitals, homes, and schools in Gaza, Chevron supplies them with energy from 2 Israeli-claimed gas fields in the Mediterranean, making millions in the process. Ending Israel's genocide in Gaza and Israeli apartheid is a climate justice issue. Israel is destroying Palestinian lives, but also destroying Palestinian lands and resources through its warfare and industries that pollute and destroy the environment. We cannot stand by and do nothing.
Oh dear, just like her catastrophist global warming nonsense, just about every word she utters there is devoid of sense, facts. But remember, that didn't stop several world leaders from allowing that simpleton's activism and the climate cult to damage their energy security and with it, their economies and the prosperity of their people. And far from destroying the natural environment, Israel plants millions of trees every year. In fact, in 1948, they only had around 2% of the country covered in trees. Now that figure is around 8.5%. You'd think Greta and the Greenies would be happy about that. Now to a young lady who needs Jesus. Like, seriously.
I love killing babies. I love
Jesus will come. We have to give her the word.
I've had like 45 abortions and I'm going to keep having them.
To Fox News now, and watch here as lefty Patrick Murphy is trying to push Biden's inflation lies. But there's a fact check coming from host Harris Faulkner, and it's beautiful.
So wait a minute, what did you say inflation was when Biden took over?
I said inflation was up at high at 9%. It's now down to 3.2%.
No. When he took over from Trump, it was 1.4%.
Yeah, and there was also there was also
I want to make sure, because Biden
debt,
says it was at 9%, and I don't want you to get confused with his
debunked.
His false talking point.
Time to check in with the Veep and her many accents. This is urban Camala from the block.
Brother, we are not going back. We are not going back. We are not going back. We will not go back.
On this next one, I detect a Hispanic tone.
In fact, recently I was in Nevada. I'm in these streets, let me tell you, I'm everywhere. I love you back.
And let's take a trip down memory lane and have a look at the man who gave Kamala her big break, Willie Brown, who was 60 and the powerful Speaker of the California Assembly when he had a romantic relationship with 29-year-old Kamala and appointed her to 2 well-paid state board positions. And the rest, as they say, is history.
He's a rogue, all right, notorious for his flamboyant lifestyle. Flashy clothes, fancy parties, fine women,
Are you his daughter?
and fast cars.
You should from now on address me as the mayor.
If ever a man and a municipality were made for each other, it is this man, this place.
And this next young lady still hasn't forgiven Kamala for that Willie Brown dalliance.
The left is trying to tout this woman as a savior for the black community, but all she's done is hurt the black community since she came into the game. See, the first step in destroying the black community is to dismantle the black family. So aside from her record as a prosecutor, why don't we ask Mrs. Willie Brown if Kamala Harris cares about black families?
Now, if you're ever confused about what the America First agenda is all about, then have a listen to Donald Trump here. Give a warning to John Deere, a manufacturer of agricultural machinery and heavy equipment. This is America First.
I just noticed behind me John Deere tractors. I know a lot about John Deere. I love the company. But as you know, they've announced a few days ago that they're going to move a lot of their manufacturing business to Mexico. I'm just notifying John Deere right now. If you do that, we're putting a 200% tariff on everything that you want to sell into the United States, so that if I win, John Deere is going to be paying a 200%.
Joining me now is documentary filmmaker and commentator Ami Horowitz. Ami, John Deere announced earlier this year that they would lay off hundreds of workers, I think around 600 odd, at three of their plants and shift production from those plants to Mexico by the end of 2026. What we saw there from Trump is precisely what he needs to go back to. That's America first.
Yeah, I don't agree with you on this one. This is, in my view, an example of neo-mercantilism, the idea that there is a static amount of wealth in the world and that all nation states are competing for it, and that all trade is zero sum. I don't believe that. It's not what capitalism and the free market is all about. We've had more modern examples of how tariffs and duties have hurt our country. For example, Smith-Hawley Tariff Act, which in fact, when it raised its tariffs and duties, it lengthened and deepened the Great Depression. These are not the way to proceed. Look, there are uses for tariffs. For example, how Trump used it in his first administration to punish and punitively against China, when China was doing things like dumping steel, tariffs on our products. That's a proper use for tariffs when you're trying to engage in a country who's attacking you. But to use it against an American country who's simply looking for a more efficient way to build their manufacturing facilities because we have an inefficient labor system and regulatory market is not the proper way to use tariffs. I'm sorry.
Well, I disagree wholeheartedly. I understand that the principles you talk about there, but in practice, we're talking about hundreds of well-paid American jobs, often in areas where there are not other jobs for those workers to go to. And as a leader, his number one priority should be the welfare of Americans. And if that means putting pressure on companies to have a little bit of loyalty to their home country, then so be it. You see other countries using tariffs to protect their industries extensively throughout Europe, Asia. I don't see why America should hamstring itself to have this free trade when other countries don't play by those rules. But we could debate this for a long time. Let's talk about Vice President Kamala Harris, because she's reportedly going to be back at the southern border, this time in Arizona. She is the border czar. She was telling us in 2022 the border is secure. Now she says it needs work, but it's all Donald Trump's fault.
Would you call the border secure?
The border is secure.
You're confident this border is secure?
We have a secure border.
After decades in law enforcement, I know the importance of safety and security, especially at our border. As president, I will bring back the bipartisan border security bill that he killed, and I will sign it into law.
Ami, this visit, I think, is going to be only the second time she's visited the border since she got that border czar role, or whatever she wants to call it nowadays. Is she going to be able to convince Americans that she cares about border security? She's got a long history of advocating for all sorts of benefits for illegal immigrants, saying illegal immigration isn't a crime. There's a chant she was leading back in 2018 that's just gone viral, where she's saying down with deportations. It's clear where her values lie. Is she going to be able to convince Americans that she's serious about cutting the numbers coming across illegally?
No. I mean, this is what you call national gaslighting. Her trying to reframe herself as a border hawk. You have got to be kidding me. And nobody's believing it because she's down double digits on the immigration issue, the second biggest issue that Americans care about. Look, if she wanted, in fact, be tough on the border, she had almost 4 years to do it under the Biden-Harris administration. She was, well, I don't want to use the word border czar because I never used the word border czar. She was just in charge of the border, right? I don't know. What could she have done? Well, she could have tried to done a border deal before last year or earlier this year. What else could she have done? She could have maybe implemented what Trump had done to stop illegal immigration into our country. For example, she could have simply done remain in Mexico, maybe the greatest tool we ever had to keep illegals out of our country. She could have continued to build the wall. She could have had increased deportations. Look, we have the receipts on you, Kamala. We don't have to guess at what your policies would be. We've had years of it, and we've had you talking about it. We've had 11.5 million people at least cross into our border illegally. We know you wanted to abolish ICE. And of course, we heard you chanting. We have a video of you chanting, "No more deportations," with, by the way, I'm so glad I'm able to pick up this name again, the great Jussie Smollett. Oh, I miss talking about him. I wish we could bring him back in the news. I think we just did.
You did. Don't ever miss a chance to mention Jussie. That was still one of the most extraordinary news events of the last decade. Now to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He's visited an ammunition manufacturing plant in Pennsylvania, which has been instrumental in supplying Ukraine with munitions. But it's his campaigning for the Harris-Walz team that is raising more than a few eyebrows, Army. How is this visit being viewed, and what's the commentary been like in the US?
I cannot believe this has not been covered more by the American media. That is truly, truly unbelievable. Look, what do we have here? We have a foreign leader who's being flown in by the administration to Pennsylvania, the most battlegroundy states of the battleground states, ostensibly to go tour a munitions facility. But guess what? He didn't have to go to Pennsylvania. This is so politically brazen, it's unbelievable. He didn't have to go to Pennsylvania. He could have, we supplied him with weapons built all across the United States. He could have gone to Ohio, South Carolina, Alabama. All these places are building weapons for Ukraine. But they sent him to Pennsylvania, and he should have said no. This is a tactical and strategic mistake for Ukraine because he needs Republicans to vote for packages for Ukraine. We passed a package for aid to Ukraine because the Republican House passed it over. And by the way, Zelensky, Trump may become president, and the guy has a pretty thin skin when you hit him. This is a massive mistake, and I cannot believe it's not being more covered.
And you're a Ukraine supporter. You support their cause, you support the fight. And if you're questioning the judgment here of President Zelensky to participate in this sort of political campaigning for the Harris camp, I think that says plenty. And you're right, if Trump becomes president again, what does that mean? Is he going to remember this and hold it against President Zelensky when they next negotiate for a package? It just seems to be a ill thought out decision on his part. Now let's go to Springfield, Ohio, the town that Trump put on the map when he mentioned he alleged there were cats and dogs being eaten. The residents there are continuing to lift the lid on the impact of up to 20,000 immigrants from Haiti being deposited into their small town. Here's one young woman's viral post.
Driving through Springfield, Ohio, I am terrified to drive my car through Springfield, Ohio. It is a scary place to drive your car through. They do not know what lane to turn from. They do not know any traffic laws, so I know I'm not the only one. But I've been stalked through stores by Haitian men.
And Vivek Ramaswamy was in Springfield as well, and he heard from a father who explained that his son, who serves in the US Army in Germany, can't bring his wife and his newborn child to America unless he enlists for another 4 years.
He's married over there. He's going to be having a baby next month. For him to get the baby to come here to the United States and his wife, he has to do 4 more years. But the Haitians come over here and get everything.
So in order for, I missed that because
for them to get their visa, their plane ticket, he has to do 4 more years.
It's a fair question, Army. When you're seeing these immigrants from Haiti coming in, no questions asked, and then you've got someone who's serving their country and he can't bring his own child unless he enlists for another 4 years, you can understand why so many in that community are upset for a variety of reasons.
Look, this is, again, another example of why immigration is one of the, again, I'll continue to say it because it's important and it's true, it's the second most important issue outside of the economy that we have in our country. And of course, it is a spectacular fail for the Harris-Biden administration. Also, look, again, I don't want to continue to beat a dead horse. It does also highlight the failure of Trump when he had to. There's no reason to create a false argument, such as the pets being eaten in Ohio, in Springfield, Ohio, when you have real problems in Springfield, Ohio, highlighted by that woman we just saw. Now, of course, the left keep trying to frame this as a race-based issue. Why are you attacking Springfield, Ohio, and the Haitians? Because they're all black. But look, I don't know. I just saw that video. That woman, she kind of looked black to me. I'm not sure. I don't see race.
No, and I don't think it's a cultural issue. I heard an American black African-American pastor talk about this, and he said this isn't a race issue. But I want to ask you about Melmore. We discussed him on last night's show. He had this mad rant on stage, encouraging the crowd to chant F America, and also made various claims about Israel.
Yeah, F America. October 7th happens and I start paying attention and I start learning. It's a genocide, absolutely, and it has been since 1948. Don't get it twisted.
He went on and on. You don't want to hear any more, Army, but he's joins a long list of celebrities, I've got to say, who have used their platforms to push this anti-Israeli agenda. We've had Susan Sarandon, an Oscar-winning actress, who said the October 7 rape claims were myths. And we had supermodel Bella Hadid, who's implied that Hamas treat their hostages better than Israel treats Palestinian detainees. There's a whole long list of celebs who've been very critical of Israel, to say the least. Even Jewish film directors have condemned Israel. Have a listen to Jonathan Glazer's acceptance speech at the Oscars and Sarah Freeland's speech at the Venice Film Festival.
Right now, we stand here as men who refute their Jewishness and the Holocaust being hijacked by an occupation which has led to conflict for so many innocent people.
I must note, I'm accepting this award on the 336th day of Israel's genocide in Gaza and 76th year of occupation.
Army, you expect the entertainment industry to be supportive of the only real democracy in the Middle East, but that's not evident these days.
Yeah, you'd be mistaken if you would think that, oh, you're so naive, Rita. Oh, little poor naive Rita. Look, Melmore in particular, he went on, by the way, also to trash America, said how much he hates America. I don't know if you guys talked about it last night, but he had his concert a couple of years ago. He went on stage as a rabbi with a big hook-nosed Jew jumping around and singing about being cheap with his song, with his song Thrift Store. It's a very good song. No, he's a disgusting person, disgusting human being, and is exemplifying it here with that.
Yeah, and it was very odd because during that rant, he mentioned that he really got an interest in this issue post-October 7. So that, to me, is pretty shocking in itself, that's when he decided to take a closer look and he came out condemning Israel, which was attacked on October 7. So I do not understand that at all. Army Horowitz, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.